Good afternoon, YCC grantees, FPOs, coaches, contractors, and presenters. This is Maisha Manager calling in from the national office. I just hit the record button, so hopefully all of our technology works. Today, we're going to try to record this presentation. We have closed captioning. Hopefully, we'll have a transcript for you all. So we're trying to use some new technology with our WebEx to make it more efficient and effective for you all. So bear with us if we have any glitches, and hopefully you all can hear me. I have put the phone on silent mode, so if you want to hit mute, that's fine. If not, we can't hear you anyway. My presenters will be coming out of silent mode to present at their time, but we're going to get started with our this month's training, YCC training on implementing internships for Youth CareerConnect students. I apologize about the beeping. I will work on that for the next call. Make sure we don't have a lot of beeping next time. So our next, hold on, I'm having technical difficulties already. Excuse me, everyone. I'm trying to advance the slides. I'm not having any luck. Okay. Well, everybody, I'm having some technical difficulties advancing my slides. So what I'm going to end up having to do is advance. Hopefully my presenters are on, can hear me. I'm having a little bit of glitch of advancing the slides. So what I'm going to do is send out the slides to the presenters have the slides, and I'll work on this. And we'll try to send this out to you guys shortly. But we're going to get started on time with the slides kind of acting a little crazy. But I will work on advancing the slides in the next couple of minutes. Okay, there we go. Hi, that's me, Maisha. How everybody's okay. Today, what we're going to be working on is talking about internships and the importance of internships and looking at how we can find internships for our students, as we know that internships is one of our major components of the YCC programs to connect our young people out of the classroom into work opportunities for them to explore the work world, soft skills, interrelationships with people, possibly even gain mentorships through these internships. And so we want to help you all and kind of discuss how your internship program is going and how to find internships if you're struggling with that component. And so we have three great presenters. Two of them are YCC grantees, so we're excited to have them with us. And they will be talking about internships today. Again, the outline is to talk about what's required of the YCC grant, what are the performance measures. Evan's going to be talking about that. We have Charles with us who's going to talk about effective practices. And again, we have two grantees with us that are going to talk about what they did for the internship program and give you guys some tips and hints on how to advance or create or improve your internship component to your YCC grant. We're also going to share some internship resources with you. And anytime you have a question, of course, you can type that into the chat. Or we will have an opportunity to ask questions at the end. So first and foremost, I want to introduce my colleague, Evan Rosenberg. He is with us. And Evan, I'm going to give you the opportunity to advance your own slides. So I think that should happen. Evan, you want to unmute your phone and present? And let me know if you can advance your slide.
Thanks, Maisha. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Excellent. So that's one piece of technology working. Now let's see if I can advance the slides. Hi, everyone. Oh, and look at that. All right, technology is working. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the policy behind internships and work experiences and what was required in our solicitation for grant application and what all grantees agreed to, as well as talking a little bit about the performance measures. And then I'm going to turn it over to Charles Modiano to talk about some best practices for internships. We will have an opportunity for questions. You can enter questions into the chat when you have them, and we may take questions after each presenter if they're relevant, or if not, we'll save the answers to the questions that you enter into the chat until the end.
Evan, have you advanced one of your slides yet?
Yeah, can you see the evidence base for work
No, I
experience?
can't. So I'm going to pass you. I'm going to make you a presenter. Hold on a second. Here comes the ball to you. I apologize. No, I did not. Now I get to see you. Now I see it. Go ahead.
Is the slide that's showing evidence base for work experience?
Yes, it is now.
Okay, great. So I want to first talk about the evidence behind work experience, and this is a big reason that we included internships and work experience as a component in Youth Career Connect grants. A lot of this evidence comes from MDRC's research, and what it shows is that paid work experience may improve educational and employment outcomes for youth, including increasing high school graduation rates. Another piece of it that the research shows is that greater involvement from the private sector and from employers are very successful in internships and work experience and connecting youth to work. And so obviously that's a required component of your grant in that employer participation. And you see there on the slide that employer participation is shown to increase skill development, career exploration, and creation of opportunities for work experience. So hopefully you're working with employers, and I think all of our presenters will be talking about effective ways to work with employers in order to create those internship opportunities for your youth. And then lastly, increased investments in career-related experiences or work experiences during high school show improved labor market prospects and improved post-secondary prospects for in-school high school youth. So hopefully we'll find that as you place youth into internships and work experience. Maisha, just to be sure, can you see the next slide that I've advanced?
Yes, I can.
All right, technology is working. Great. So work experience is a required part of the program design. It must be provided by your employer partner or partners, and work experiences are defined as planned, structured learning experiences that take place in a workplace for a limited period of time. They may be paid or unpaid. They can be in the private sector, private for-profit sector, the nonprofit sector, or the public sector, and they're designed to enable youth to gain exposure to the working world and be inspired to continue their studies and, figure out what they want to do with their life beyond high school and hopefully get some ideas through their work experiences of the jobs they might want to pursue. Work experience should help youth acquire personal knowledge and skills needed to obtain a job or advance in employment. The primary purpose is to provide youth participants with opportunities for career exploration and skill development, and work experiences should not specifically benefit the employer. And what we mean by that is that the youth participating in a work experience shouldn't be doing an actual job that a regular employee does, and so employers who are looking for new employees shouldn't view our Youth Career Connect students as replacements for those employees. Rather, this should be more of a training, career exploration opportunity and to benefit the youth, not specifically to provide free labor or low-wage labor for employers. That being said, though, employers should hopefully see the benefit of being able to spend time and show our young people what it's like to be in the workforce, because they are training the future workforce. And then work experiences, I talked about how they can be paid or unpaid. If they are paid, they can be subsidized or unsubsidized. They can occur at any point, either during the school year, during the summer, or both. And we encourage you to pay for work experiences using some of your matching funds or leverage resources, particularly matching funds from employer partners. Now let's talk specifically about internships, which is what the rest of this webinar is about. To this point, I've been talking about the term work experiences. And work experiences is more of a broad term that includes both internships and things like job shadowing. But the internships that we're talking about are more of an intensive type of work experience as opposed to job shadowing, which is less intensive, that maybe it's just for a day or two where the young person goes into an employer and follows them around for a day and sees what they do. A work experience that you should be actually actively engaged with the employer, and it should be a lot more intensive than a job shadow. Internships were included in the SGA in two parts, under the employer engagement section and under the work-based learning exposure to the world of work section. And so given that they were under two of our 6 core elements, they're clearly a very important part of our program design, and that's one of the reasons we want to have this webinar today. And then internships, if they're paid, may be paid either through an employer match. You're allowed to use your grant funds to pay for internships, to pay for the wages in a paid internship, or you could use a combination of grant funds and employer match. But the internship should directly relate to the occupations identified in the participant's career plan within the identified industry. So each of your participants are in their identified career pathway or industry, and so you should try and set them up in internships that are within that industry that they're working on. Some more things in the SGA, in case that you weren't part of the program when your proposal was written, is in the SGA and in the proposals, you talked about how you'll identify internships, whether those internships will be paid, and if so, how they'll be paid, how you will address transportation needs of participants to access internships, and this could probably be more of an issue in rural areas, and one of our grantees is somewhat rural, and we'll talk about how they deal with transportation needs. And then finally, how internships taking place at a work site will be monitored, and the type of support that you'll provide to employers hosting internships. And I know Charles is going to talk a lot about that relationship between the grantee and the employer and how to make that work and monitor the internships to make sure that youth are having a positive experience. Now, we have 3 different performance measures that relate to internships. They're all short-term performance measures, and they're all pretty straightforward. The first performance measure is the internship placement rate, and this measures the participants that start an internship. And all of our grants, you set goals for how many youth you would place in an internship, and so this placement rate corresponds to your specific internship goal. Secondly, we have an internship completion rate, which simply measures the percentage of participants that complete an internship out of those that start. So if you have 100 people that started your internship, hopefully you'll have 100 people complete and have a completion rate of 100%. And then lastly, we have a work readiness indicator, which measures the percentage of participants who are determined to be work ready based on an employer evaluation conducted at the end of each internship. And I'll talk a little bit about that employer evaluation on the next slide. So the work readiness indicator must be based on an employer's assessment of a Youth CareerConnect participant's work readiness skills during their internship. And the reason why we want it to be an employer assessment is we're trying to mimic what the real world is like. And as we all know, in the real world, we get evaluated or assessed by our supervisor or employer and get a rating at the end of each year telling us how well we're doing and what we need to work on. And we want youth to get used to being evaluated by their supervisor and by an employer, since that's how it works in the real world. And so we want this work readiness indicator to be based on an employer assessment. The assessment must be conducted by the internship employer and based on the participant's performance in their internship. And we have a recommended Department of Labor work readiness form, which our next presenter, Charles, actually created for us a number of years ago when he worked at the Department of Labor. And we have a link here to that work readiness assessment form that we encourage you to use. And while you're not required to use it, you must, like I said, use some type of work readiness assessment based on an employer assessment. And if you use a different form, you should obviously use the same work readiness form for all your participants. But for simplicity, we do encourage you to use our form. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Maisha to introduce our next presenter. Maisha?
Thank you so much, Evan, for giving us the background and the foundation for our internship conversation. I would like to turn over permission over to Charles to begin presenting. Charles, of course, we've known for many years here at the Department of Labor. He worked with us many moons ago and still does work for us. And he's a wealth of resources when it comes to building skills for young people. And Charles, if you want to share any more additional information about yourself, please do to the audience, and you can get presented. You should be able to advance your slides at this time, and you can begin speaking. Charles, are you there?
Sure.
Okay.
Do you hear me?
I do hear you.
Wonderful. Great to be here. Thank you for that introduction, Maisha. Thank you so much, Evan. Really, all I want to tell you about myself and my background is that when I was young, I was that student in the back row who would laugh and who would make jokes, and I was as engaged as the people around me allowed me to be engaged. So I can get an A in one course and do very well if the people around me held a high expectation for me, and if they did not, I could be in the back row, get lower grades, and joke around. And I take that with me in working with young people everywhere, and it is a pleasure to be here because internships are critically important. Evan did give some background into some of the science and some of the data around that. We'll go a little bit more into that, but I want to start by saying that, going to the first slide, that everyone is a genius. Now, Maisha, let me just say, I want to, I may be having a little technical difficulty moving that
I gave
slide.
you permission. I gave you permission to advance the slide if you want to. Let me see. Let me try. I'll do it for you, Charles.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good.
Just let me know when you want me to advance.
Certainly. Please advance it.
Okay.
And, you know, and as we move forward, there's a sort of a foundational element of youth development that we move forward with. And if I have to make one slide around youth development, it would be an Einstein quote. And Einstein says, everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. And in a world where, you know, you have many areas that have 50% dropout rates, and we find out that in various different environments, those young people are excelling incredibly, we find that sometimes there's a systemic problem that exists. And often when we give some of the hands-on learning and the hands-on tool and the interest of not just our program staff, but employers and everyone involved, we see the genius in young people. And in many respects, what we're trying to do with YCC is to let that genius shine. And internships is certainly one tool to do that, and a very powerful tool. And let's go to the next one. Next slide.
I'm coming, Charles. I'm coming. I'm working my magic over here. Give me a second, okay? I'm coming.
Oh, it's good. It's good. It's good.
It's not giving me. Oh my goodness.
It's okay.
Keep talking. Keep talking.
Oh, I can keep talking. You know, I could talk about the genius of young people forever, but I'm going to move into internships. But that, like I said, that is a youth development philosophy. We have to have a youth development philosophy that where are young people's genius and how do we let them shine, and that fundamentally where we see gaps today, both in the labor market and in education, we derive that that is an adult problem and that is not a young person problem. So where does internships fall into all of this? Well, internships is critically important. It's nothing new. Let me start out by saying the title of this slide is Implementing Effective Internships. And the word effective is the operative word because, as I said, it's nothing new. Been going on since the beginning of times, but how do we do it well? And that's really what this presentation is about, doing it well, not doing it. Probably most of the people on the call have done an internship in some form or fashion. And the reason it's so important to do an internship well is that the consequence of doing a bad internship is actually unemployment training. That if a young person comes into their job in their very first work experience, and that job does not resemble what goes on, as Evan said, the real world, well, then we're setting them up for a fantasy world that doesn't exist. So it's critically important at this stage to really set people up to succeed. And we also know from that research that those 16 to 21 and 16 to 24 years are so critical because the habits that are gained at that point in time are lifelong, and that you can't get them back by doing it later. So that's sort of the context. And how do we frame an internship? Because framing is important. Well, to the young people, we frame it as a long interview. We have to frame it that way. And we have to also frame it correctly for employers as well as a meaningful work experience. But to stay on young people, a long interview is something that young people know it's not the first couple of days, but it's an opportunity that could, at maximum, result in an actual job at that same job or a referral to another job. And if it doesn't do that, well, there's some long-term benefits, the work skills, the critical work experience, the resume builder, a reference that keeps lasting longer. And we also know young people aren't around enough to build references. So we get to do this. We get to start to build a reputation. So the effective internships are very important in short-term and long-term value, and we want to frame it that way. And when we frame it that way to the young people early on, they don't perceive it and they don't address it as anything less than a real job. But that starts with us. So that's real important. So let's go to the next slide. And I just want to give a little bit of the landscape that is going on and the gap that exists between the perception of business leaders around young workers and the perception of educators. And when these are two polls from last year, in February last year, Gallup polls. They're good polls. And 11% of business leaders strongly agree that college graduates have the necessary skills to succeed in the workplace. It's pretty appalling statement of employers about college graduates. And even if you look closer to the data, it's only 33% of employers just agree in any form, which means the balance of employers are saying, what are colleges doing? Because whatever is going on in colleges are not getting young people prepared. And these are college graduates, okay? Then when we ask college educators in a separate poll around that same time, well, 96% believe, hey, we're effectively preparing students for success in the workplace. So the people preparing are not seeing what employers are seeing. And the problem we have here is the employers are actually the ones doing the hiring. So in their opinion is the stronger opinion. And Julian Alcid of the Chief Workforce Strategist at College for America had a very good observation. He said, could this rift in perception itself be a main cause for our skills gap? I think yes, meaning are we not preparing young people effectively because we don't even know that there's this gap to begin with? And how do we address that gap? Well, again, those are college students. Those are individuals who have more education than the young individuals we're dealing with and have better credentials and chances in the labor market. This could also be seen as an opportunity for anyone and any organization who are working with young people who are high school aged or high school dropout, anyone prior to college. There's an opportunity to close this gap. There's an opportunity to address what employers need, even though they have not gotten their college degree yet, or in many cases, high school diploma. In many cases, these skills will be a life preserver on the way towards that end. Maisha, could you, next slide, please? And what we're talking about when we really look deeper, and we will look deeper into what employers want, they're talking about people skills, okay? More than anything else, they're talking about people skills because not only do we have a knowledge-based economy, and that knowledge-based economy is well documented in study after study. 2/3 of all new jobs created will require post-secondary education credentials. So that is critically important, but it's also a service-based economy where young people must have people skills. So if you look closer at what employers are looking for, you have to go down the list, past working in a team structure, past solving problems, past communication, to get seventh when they talk about technical knowledge related to the job. Technical knowledge related to the job does grow as we get older, and we find employers will often say, for young people, we will teach you that technical knowledge if you come in with an open mind and are likable, with a positive attitude and willing to work in that team structure. So this is a theme that keeps coming back. Next slide, please. And what I want to say to that, those skills that you saw that we'll come back to, they're often called soft skills, or they're called essential skills, or they're called foundation skills, and they're called transferable skills, and people skills, and many other names. And I think it's important to know that when we talk about these people skills, and we use the language of transferable. That's very important because transferable means it's going from job to job. Transferable means it's going upward into being promoted, where we know those are the skills that our managers have as well that lead to promotion. So now, internships, where does it fall in this mix? It's a perfect real-world environment to work on all of these aspects. So you have 4 keys that we want to do. These aren't all-encompassing, but there are 4 keys we'll focus on. Youth preparation, employer preparation, ensure meaningful work experience, and transition beyond internship. So this is the framework. And what we're doing in our short time here is just giving a framework, a spirit of what's important in the internships for the actual mechanics, for the actual forms, for the resources. We have a few pages of resources at the end that people can go through and look at. If you're worried that this presentation is not getting into that nitty-gritty, we have plenty of resources for that. So definitely want to make sure that that is understood. So next slide, please. So let's start with youth preparation. Now, we sort of skipped over a little stage, but we find when that stage being recruitment of employers and recruitment of young people, we haven't found that there have been too many problems in that stage and in the past, and some of the resources speak to that. But we want to get into youth preparation. It's funny because Evan, he brought up a couple of different performance measures. And one of the performance measures is the work readiness indicator, which we're going to get to. But he also brought up a completion rate. Okay, and the greatest way to ensure completion rate with a positive work readiness form is to prepare young people prior to that internship, because we want to do both. We don't want to keep a young person in an internship for a completion rate if they're not performing well and they do not have a supported structure there. That's not what the message is. So the message is we want to do all of the above. And we start with a youth mindset. We mentioned the long interview and the expectation of a long interview for youth, and to have that positive mindset going in. Then if I use the next, I don't know, 6-7 weeks, and I know everyone's internship is different length, if I use this time, what can I get out of it, and what is my long-term value? Well, that takes doing preparation. That takes doing orientations with young people. That takes doing training on work expectations as well. And to the greatest ability that you can, you want to simulate that process. You want to simulate the work process. And that comes sort of in 2 forms. You want to do it with a group. If you have a certain number of young people that you're preparing, you want to have those young people working together in a group orientation and simulate that orientation as you would a group interview for the very internship. What I often see happen that I've done in the past, which was wrong, is you go straight to the matching phase, and we skip some of these steps on the front end, and then there are more problems on the back end because we did not do the proper preparation. And every mistake that I'm going to mention here on out are mistakes that I've personally made in running internships and working in initiatives that do that. So the pre-internship work readiness training could be different according to your organization and the need of the young people. Let the need of the young people decide what that is. I've seen it multi-days. I've seen it multi-week. It's whatever you think the young people need, but it's very important that that structure is in place and we could communicate those youth expectations. And next slide, please. And what are those expectations? Well, if you were to take 1 million studies on what employers want from young people, you could really boil it down into this one slide in today's labor market. They're talking about problem solving, attitude, communication skills, and teamwork. These are the big 4 in my mind that we talk about work habits. You know, they may vary a little bit here and there. And I put problem solving first. Normally it's put on the end of most charts because problem solving is probably the biggest change in the labor market in the last 30, 40 years. That it's not enough to have instruction followers. It's not enough to have people who could just take orders. We want leaders. We want young leaders who could make the employer's job easier and who will exhibit critical thinking and ability to learn on the job, creativity, and can you adapt to change? Young people who can adapt. And because the labor market has changed and has been so adaptable versus years ago when you'd stay in the same job for a long period of time, we have to make sure our young people are adaptable and they're skilled at solving problems. And Of course, probably the most well-known is when we talk about attitude and professionalism, that we want all young people from punctuality to positive attitude, working with other people. And really, to sum it up, are you likable? You know, if we work around someone for 40 hours a week, we want them to be likable. We want to like them. That's often more than we spend time with our loved ones and family members. And so we want to definitely communicate that. Communication skills are very important: oral, nonverbal, written communication, all of the above. Can you sell yourself? So you want to make sure that we give young people opportunity, both within training and then afterwards in the internship, opportunities to improve those communication skills for a 21st century environment. And then, of course, teamwork. More than ever, teamwork is important, that there are fewer specialists in today's labor market, and everyone pretty much has to work with other people. And that means understanding that your job description is really 51% of your job. You're just doing that more than anything else. And the other 49% could be just about, you know, anything, so long as it's within ethical means, of course. And the ability to network and influence the team is critically important. And what I want to say about this slide is that it doesn't just come from a workshop, and it doesn't just come from an internship, but it comes from a culture of your organization more than anything else, or the culture of the employer that you send young people to. Do they promote these skills? Do you promote these skills? Because sometimes we find maybe half the staff are promoting these skills and half are not, and then that becomes an issue. So we always start with ourselves here. So to give you an example, if the instructor is talking about, say, punctuality, but a case manager, career development specialist, or someone else does not have a system where punctuality is valued, or teamwork is valued, or positive attitude is valued, then it tends to have a negative cultural effect. So that's why, in many respects, career readiness is sometimes more difficult than job development, because job development can be done by 1 or 2 staff members, and career readiness needs your entire team to really make it work. So let's go to the next slide. Well, you know, a lot of times you see organizations do focus well on the young person and the young people, but not as much as on the employer. And I am guilty of that. In my very first experience, and I was working for a summer youth employment program many years ago, and we had to place 400 young people into internships, I was giving young people unemployment training, as I referred to earlier, because we had a young person, and what she wanted to do was learn computers and work on in an office and be in an office setting, and we did just that. We made the match. And we thought it was a great match, and we had poor monitoring, and we had poor preparation, and we had poor screening of the employer, and I was only able to find out about 3 or 4 weeks later that that young person was sitting in a chair making 3 copies in an hour, and besides those 3 copies an hour, pretty much doing nothing. And in that young person's mind, this was what work was. So this was the belief that work is making 3 copies in an hour, and that is not her fault. That was my fault, 100%, and our organization's fault, because we did not do the proper preparation. All that employer thought about was, hey, I'm getting free labor, and if that free labor is a few extra copies, then good. And that employer was not thinking about what we were thinking about, is providing a meaningful work experience that could be lifelong for that young person. So to do that, through bumping our heads, we had to really implement some employer orientations, remove the shortcuts, not just the matching. And what we found out is just by having the orientations itself was a screening tool. Because if you were too busy to make a couple of orientations as an employer to come down, well, that was great. That was really useful information for us, because that means you're probably not going to be the best employer with regard to giving a meaningful work experience. So you have to set up employer orientations, and we have certainly more forums on doing that. And you want to clearly set those expectations, gauge commitment, make sure that you are all on the same page. You do want to do positive job matching to the best of your ability and develop partnership agreements. But what's really, really important beyond a partnership agreement, because we don't know if that's a piece of paper or how do we bring a partnership agreement to life, we want to simulate that real world process that Evan was talking about. So we think of internships as this opportunity to get on-the-job habits or career habits, but it's also a great opportunity to simulate job search habits. So don't just do a match and say, hey, we're sending you a young person. Send 2 or 3 people to an interview. process for that internship. Simulate that process. Have young people go through that process, update their resume for that process, and make sure that the employer has the time to do that. And the time that you put in will, again, it sounds like more work, but it really, the value comes on the back end, which really creates more work when sometimes these steps are skipped. So the resume, the cover letter, the mock interviews, thank you letters, all the job search norms, we could really see if it is a match and if the employer adds their own investment. New slide, please. Great. And now, once the young person is connected to that work experience, we have to make sure that that is a meaningful work experience. So that really means we want to have a worksite monitoring system in place, weekly or biweekly, you know, it really depends on the situation. And there are mentors that you want to have in place. So you want to have this twofold. You want to have a mentor added beyond the main supervisor who's often busy to make sure the young person is doing what they're doing on the job and can go to and is accessible regularly and ask for guidance. And you also want someone from your organization to be able to have regular contact, certainly regular contact via phone and in person, and make sure what's going on site is what was promised. So that is a critically important piece. And we also want to measure our progress. Well, you know, how do we measure our progress? Well, Evan already spoke about that in using a tool, and we'll talk a little bit more about that design, using a evaluation tool designed for an internship. You want to introduce this tool twice at least. You want to or 3 times. You want to introduce it first in your youth orientation, make sure young people know that they're going to be measured in their internship. You want to use it again and introduce it to employers in the employer orientation, and make sure employers know that they're expected to measure young people in their employer with young people on their internship, excuse me. So, and the third time, you want an employer to do a first day orientation to the young person on site, inclusive of using the tool as well. Not just introducing it, but using it the first day and having an endpoint to use it again. And that endpoint varies depending on, you know, the frequency and intensity of your internship. But we want to make sure if you could have at least a couple of times in the internship where we revisit the tool, it is a way to assess young people's behavior as opposed to just coming when something goes wrong. And sometimes that tends to happen when there's no tool to measure. We just address negative behavior and not just the positive behavior. So Evan talked about, well, we studied measuring work readiness behavior, and I didn't develop it so much as employers really developed it. It came from what employers said. And it's nothing big. It's only a page and a rubric for a page, because what we have found out is that when we give employers anything much more than a page, they really don't want to do it. And sometimes we don't want to do it either. We don't really like multi-page assessments, and they tend to collect dust. So we try to keep it simple. What do employers want most? As Evan said, you can use this tool, you could use another tool, it's modifiable, and the tool is really up to you. And it can be modified according to your local employer feedback and local information. But really what shouldn't change is that your tool should be behavioral based. Again, real world, we heard. Well, in the real world, evaluations are used, and they're behavioral based evaluations or task completion evaluations. When we started to study what programs we're using for assessments of young people, it didn't mimic the real world. We were seeing the majority were using knowledge-based assessments. So what's a knowledge-based assessment? A knowledge-based assessment is when a young person is asked questions, and these are some actual questions that I'm about to say. Should you have a positive attitude in the workplace? Well, 100% of young people check yes, you should. Should you come on time every day? Well, 100% of young people check yes, we should. And more questions like this. So what they did is they measured, do young people have knowledge of what you should do? Well, I have knowledge of what I should do, and I don't come in on time every day, despite my knowledge, despite the fact I'm actually facilitating this. I'm still working on this. I'm still a work in progress. So we can't really measure knowledge. We have to measure behavior. So whatever assessment you use should be and must be one that measures progress in behavior, not just the knowledge of what is good workplace behavior. And you may also have other portfolio assessments that look at completion of tasks and the like, but that's the most important piece. And you want to measure it in a way that the tool is developed that has a rubric. So if you have a rubric, and you'll see on the second page, you're measuring according to, you're trying to put objective language on something that's subjective, exactly. You're applying objective language to something that's objective. Look at attitude. The reason we don't have behavioral assessments is because it sort of is something we can't put our finger on. It's subjective. It's not hard and fast, like if someone got a diploma or not. So we shy away from it. So we want to not shy away from it, but still make it as objective as possible. The rubric does that. And if you're not satisfied with rubric examples that are already out there, feel free to make your own. But please do have a rubric so that that's included. And next slide, please. And you'll see you'll see right now this slide is the example that we were just speaking of. So you see on top, here are measurements from performance improvement plan needed, which is 1, to needs development, which is 2, to proficient, which is 3, to leader, which is 4. Leader, an example to other young people. And then you'll see an idea of maybe what a rubric looks like on the bottom. And when we read some of the language, it helps us narrow in what the behavior is all about. So let's go to the next slide. And, you know, we mentioned we want something modifiable. Again, you don't have to use this. It's more about the principle of it. And we talked about the introduction and the frequency. And what I want to add to all of that, to the degree that you can, include participants in this process. When we ask participants to assess themselves first, we find it's a much better process. So if a young person asks me what I think, give it to them. Not only have them assess themselves, say, hey, go to 2 other young people and see what they say, particularly if they're in the same work environment with young people, or it can be used in the training as well. And get other feedback. And that way, when you come to the staff member, we're really talking about where there may be a discrepancy between our evaluation and their evaluation. And then where we're on the same page, we can talk about that. So we want a couple of layers before our assessment. And that's critically important. And what's also important, and that is very helpful in this process, is that you have employer expectations and you have youth ideas of what employers want. And it's good to have, if you can, send young people out to do informational interviews with employers prior to some of these expectations, prior to your youth orientation, so that they hear what employers are saying are important, and or the reasons young people are hired and the reasons that young people are fired. So this is some prep work that is very valuable, and they'll hear it from employers. And understand, when I say informational interview, that's not a real interview. That is just going as a young person to find out what employers want and taking 10 minutes of their time. And we can help young people with that by practicing with them how to meet and greet an employer, literally simulating that handshake and smile and all that goes into it. So when we measure, next slide, please. And then finally, and this generally gets to the least attention, quite understandably from a resource point of view, but we want to look at transition beyond the internship, the opportunity to be hired at a company or other company. Much of this actually started in that screening and employer process and asking employers if there's potential beyond the internship, which doesn't mean that has to be a criteria, but it's certainly something that we're looking for. And getting improved skills, potential credential, depending on your internship. And we mentioned a reference letter, potential credential, and gateway to career. And I think what's important, we didn't talk too much about matching. We want to give career opportunities. We really do, that go into an industry. We don't want to necessarily limit opportunities that they can get on their own. We want, I mean, I've seen internships from HTML coding to healthcare, we know is the fastest growing field, to business and professional environments, so that they walk away with a skill, potential credential that can be used past the life of the internship. That's internships at its best. We want a gateway to career. And this is the critical component. So that monitor who you have will also see what they can do to help keep that relationship going. And what we find is young people often go back to that internship much later, or even a year later, and that turns into an actual job. Next slide, please. And what I want to leave you with quickly are just some resources that you can go into, because I know a lot of people are probably thinking, hey, we need to look at forms and we want to get to the nuts and bolts. Well, you can see this. There's some national resources, the National Academy Foundation Internship Toolkit. So if you go to that toolkit, they'll talk about student preparation and planning, student performance and supervision, student post-internship activities. From the school's perspective, what's the school's role? What are the employer's role? Employer preparation and planning, employer performance supervision, employer post-internship activities. And I'm going to shy away as I go through different resources from saying this is the best resource, because what I find is you look at the various resources and see what fits for you for what you're doing in the internship. And you might find a form in one toolkit and another form in another toolkit and guidance in one toolkit and another toolkit, and you could put that together yourself. It's really up to you. So I would say take some time to do that. Department of Labor put a great resource together, Connecting Youth and Business, and this was written from a toolkit from the employer perspective. So you certainly want to take a look about that. That even has company readiness assessments for employers. As far as Department of Labor, working in internships is nothing new. Department of Labor has been doing it for quite some time. There's summer youth employment guidance from a couple of years ago that goes over much of what we just discussed in the last few minutes. Next slide, please. And you know, one of my favorite sites and who have really honed in on doing internships is the Philadelphia Youth Network Worksite Toolkit. So if you were to go on their site, they'd have internship resources, and you'd see something like 30 resources with links, and you could go to each link, from implementing a successful internship program to recruiting, tools to implement throughout the internship program, and worksite compliance. So from a compliance point of view, from a guidance point of view, a preparation point of view, employer internship, Philadelphia has always done a wonderful job. There are some other local resources that you'll see there, Metro Atlanta Chamber Internship Toolkit, South Dakota. So we want to give you some variety here. Look at them, go through them, see what works for you, see what forms work for you. And then, there's one we included here on Toolkit for Public Health Employers that may be of interest for those going into the health field. Again, it's the highest and fastest growing occupation. And last slide, please. And the last slide is career readiness guidance. You can use some of this in your orientations, in your youth preparation. Here are three. Well, why were these three selected over others? Well, it starts with they're all free. I try to go towards free, which doesn't mean there are not a number of wonderful paid resources. So Department of Labor has Soft Skills to Pay the Bills, Mastering Soft Skills for Workplace Success. Massachusetts is a local one that has career readiness curricula. And they're all exercises, really. They're all various interactive exercises, really, that talk about those behaviors that we spoke about earlier that employers want, and they'll all do a pretty good job. As with the internship exercise, go through them, see what works for you, see what you like. Princeton University Career Planning Guide is good, particularly on some of the job search. I always like to give a variety of resources for young people, and remember, we said everyone is a genius. Some people told me, well, why are you having Ivy League resources? It's because every young person who comes my way, I believe, can be an Ivy League student and can achieve at the highest level. We want to use some of these resources. What are the universities that cost the most? What are they saying to young people? So if it applies, great. If it doesn't apply, let it fly, and go through that homework process. So that was a long time. I'm going to stop now, and if anyone has any questions, and we could talk about that now and, of course, beyond this moment.
Okay, Charles, thank you so much. That was so fruitful, and I learned a lot, or I got refreshed about some of the resources. We did have one question that came in before I introduced our two grantees. That was a quick question. It's actually more of a comment from Yolanda from our PG grantee, and she just really I wanted to know if you have any quick responses to how do you close the deal with employers? How do you get employers to come on board and get them to sign up and to be a part of this process? And Yolanda, please type into the chat feature if I missed your question, but I believe I shared it with Charles as well. It's on your screen, Charles.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Hold on, let me see if I can get it.
In the chat feature. So it's just basically how do you close a deal with employers?
Okay. Well, first of all, if it's Yolanda, I think it is. Then great to hear from you, Yolanda. Maybe a different one, different.
No, it's Yolanda from PG County. Yes, it's Yolanda. Same.
Oh, all right.
That's Yolanda. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Yolanda. That's a complete expert in the field. That's wonderful. I mean, it's different. I like to close the deal through the orientation process, and part of the orientation process is there is a benefit for employers, and we have to communicate that benefit. I'm glad the question was asked because I didn't actually communicate that part. We have to communicate the benefit to employers. What we are doing, we don't want to promote free labor because we don't want to promote lack of a meaningful work experience. But they are actually getting workers that we're saying, hey, we prepared. We are preparing. I'm not for the charity model, by the way. We're helping you out, help the young person out. This is great. I'm for we're helping you out as a service to you, that we're preparing young people and they can help your business. I don't know of any company or business that's not of value. But that's a partnership. That's a deal. But we want something too. We want something from our young people where we want a meaningful work experience. So we're trying to do both in communicating the benefit to the company and asking also for a mutual benefit. So for me, it's talking about the preparation of the young person, how they can help your business, that we will monitor and communicate closely with you should there be any problem, should any problem arise, that we're following through, and it could be part of a long-term relationship. So I think it's really about having an avenue to communicate both individually and through the orientation, mutual benefit.
Yes, and it also makes the employer look real good in the community, doesn't it? So that's another way to close the deal. You just said it, Charles.
Sure.
Thanks so much. I'm going to proceed, and I keep typing your questions, and I'm getting them from you all, and I appreciate the questions. Keep them coming in. And Jack, we're going to get your questions shortly. I had to send it to Evan. So I'm going to be introducing our two YCC grantees. I truly enjoy peer-to-peer learning. I truly enjoy hearing from the YCC grantees from you all. And don't forget to ever let your FPO know and your coach know. If you are a champion, you feel you're strong in the area of your YCC grant, and you want to share with us what you're doing in the field, please let us know, because it's so important for us, not just to provide you with training or to share, from the experts and the subject matter experts, but we want to hear from you all, and it drives us to work harder, drives us to give you what you need, and just to let us know what your challenges and what your strengths. So please always remember, if you ever are a champion, I call you guys champions, in mentoring or parent engagement, employer engagement, whatever component of YCC grant program components, please let us know. We want to have you all share on a peer-to-peer component. But today we have Los Angeles and Putnam County, and they're going to share with us their internship model, and I'm so excited to have Catherine with us. She's going to give us the rural perspective. And Catherine, if you want to share with us a little bit. I'm so sorry your slide looks like that, Catherine. Can you hear me? Catherine,
That's okay. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, Catherine, your slide was not supposed to look like that. Forgive me.
It's okay.
If you want to introduce yourself, Catherine, and give us a little background, I am going to try one more time to give you a control, Catherine, so you can advance your own slide. Here it comes. And let me know if you can advance your slides. Go ahead and see if you can go forward. Yeah, perfect. Good.
I got it.
Thank you. And let me know when you're ready, and I'll take it back, okay?
Yes, ma'am. So I'll be really brief. My name is Catherine Reed, and I'm the Youth Empowerment for Success Program Manager here in Putnam County. This is actually my 4th year in this community, and so throughout that experience, obviously this is my 1st year as the program manager for this program, but I have spent a lot of time in getting to know the community and kind of the dynamics. So today I just wanted to give you a brief background about our school and our program. We are a small rural school located in Middle Georgia. We actually are the only public school district in our area. We have only one high school serving our entire county. We have about 740 students total in population at the high school, and our program students specifically make up about 20% of that. Our high school, the building that we're currently housed in, is actually about 10 miles from the city center. there's farmland, vast farmland in between our school and the town, so 95% of the business is actually located 15 minutes away from our facility. The next town over, which isn't much larger than ours, is about another 20 minutes beyond that, and it's actually in another county, and so that county is served by another school district. So we're kind of out there in the sticks, if you will. In addition, our population is 70% impoverished. We have 70% of our students that qualify for free and reduced lunch, and so therefore they're economically disadvantaged. So just to give you a little background to keep in mind some of those things when I begin talking about our challenges, and then again some of our solutions that we came up with, just to keep this in the back of your mind. We've learned a lot this school year. We've come across a whole lot of obstacles that were related to connecting students with internships and other long-term opportunities in our program focus areas, which are healthcare, information technology, and welding. Because of our geographic location, transportation is one of our students' biggest barriers. Most of them rely on school transportation each day to get to and from school, and outside of that, there's no other public form of transportation in our county to get them anywhere else. Of our local employers, in the event that they did offer any type of work-based learning opportunity, there were very few positions available to our students. A specific example of that is one of the local fabrication shops who employs welders. They actually only have one position for a student at a time. Unfortunately, this year that was taken by a senior student, but next year our student will finally get that one single position at that place. But if that gives you any idea of the capacity that our local employers have for our students, it's very minimal. There are also many businesses and employers that are hesitant to allow our students to work in any capacity because of liability and insurance and minimum age requirements, especially because of the industries that we chose. There's a lot of privacy and safety issues that they have to consider. So that was also a challenge that we faced. And then furthermore, we actually work within the confines of the Georgia Department of Education's work-based learning program that they developed. And so there's different regulations and policies in order for students to go to work during the school year that we have to follow in addition to meeting some of our program targets. And then lastly, lack of monetary compensation, which seems kind of innate to an internship, that an internship goes hand in hand most of the time with being unpaid. However, for our students, they didn't really grasp this at the beginning, and so we really had to train them to understand the value of an internship. So I'm going to go back. It's basically the same exact slide, but to give you a solution up underneath each main bullet point. So the first thing that we did was we purchased vans with our program funding. This was really invaluable to us. It opened a lot of doors. We no longer have to rely on district transportation nor specialized drivers, so that was it really reformed our accessibility to opportunities. We can easily take students at any point, to any opportunity that arises at any time, so that was really great for us. This also negated the necessity for opportunities to be very close in proximity, and it opened several more opportunities to our students. So we didn't only have to transport them into the city center locally, but we could then easily transport them outside of our area, our immediate area, to other counties and throughout the state. To help alleviate some of the employer's concerns pertaining to liability, we utilized several resources and references to develop agreements between students, parents, and employers. This paperwork not only defined the nature of the work to be done during the internship, but it also included statements releasing the employer of liability. The parents, guardians, they must have indicated that their student was covered by health insurance and provide proof of that. And if they weren't currently covered, that they must indicate that they would buy insurance through our school, and that we then go forward with helping them through that process. Some employers did find solace in this type of agreement, and as a program coordinator, I really liked the transparency between the employer, or the parent, and the student, and that kind of resonates on Charles's point of orientating all stakeholders prior to the beginning of this type of work, and I'll talk about employer engagement a little bit later. We also, through our post-secondary partner, were able to kind of get in the back door to some of these employers, and that when we explained that our students were actually college students working toward achieving credentials and earning college credits, that they then felt more comfortable treating them like any other college student. And specifically, we have an example in our healthcare students. A local rehabilitation center kind of took our students under their wing as they had an existing partnership with the college, and that recognizing that these were college students working on earning their technical college and healthcare industry certification allowed them to participate in short internships there. We also began trying to develop new partnerships. Oh, I think I need to change my slide. We also began trying to develop new partnerships and strengthen existing ones. We expanded our community outreach through several different methods in order to have employers better understand our missions and goals. And as a part of that employer engagement, we also had to make them aware of some of our limitations of working within the school day and within the school year. And that goes right along with our state work-based learning program policies, that depending upon the depth and the breadth of the project, students could be scheduled to leave school early through our state's work-based learning program, but that required extensive planning on both the school and employer part, so that again goes into orienting with the employer themselves. However, we also came up with another solution to get permission for students to leave periodically and take field trips, if you will, during our extended learning period or our tutorial period of the day, to where they could do internship work. And then lastly, the lack of monetary compensation. And again, just for our students, it's a huge obstacle, not only getting the students to and from, which I already discussed about transporting them, and that's an obstacle and a barrier for them. But in addition to that, a lot of our parents and families saw that it was going to cause them financial strain and just stress on the family dynamic, because these older siblings were then going to be taken away from the home, and in terms of taking care of their younger siblings after school or tending to the farm or other family business. And so kind of soft skills training for everyone, the students and the parents, helped to kind of alleviate some of those concerns that they had, that this really was a great way to build their resume before they left high school. So in addition to all of these, though, we still had challenges and still had obstacles and still had barriers, and we weren't getting the result that we really wanted to see. So what we have dabbled in a little bit this year, and we plan to have more students participate in this type of model next year, we wanted to implement something that I can no better coin the term other than a flipped internship model. This was a way to rectify the challenges that we saw, and it takes the idea of like a flipped classroom, if you will. It takes that original idea and reverses the way that it functions. And so a short definition is up there at the top of the slide for you. It says the flipped internship model is a scenario in which students can complete meaningful work and projects during their school day for an employer partner. Why this is unique is that the students are really completing their internship work remotely, primarily at the school level. So the school would maintain supervision of the students while they're working. However, our program transportation, which I had previously discussed about our program vans, that we are able to then take the students to the employer when it's necessary. So an interviewing process, a hiring process, orientation, that type of thing, production supervision, monitoring the work that they're doing if necessary to go there so that that supervisor can look at their work face-to-face. And then also any time a work readiness evaluation needed to be conducted. This alleviated a lot of our employers' concerns regarding insurance, liability, and also minimum age requirements. Just because we were going to be the sole supervisor or the primary supervisor of the students doing this work. And so since the work was kind of housed in our facility, that made them feel better about releasing them of some of that liability. Employers could also travel to our school easier than the students could get to them. And so if one employer needed to speak with one student at a time, it was almost more easily coordinated if the employer came to our building rather than vice versa. And depending upon, and how this kind of works in our school schedule, is that depending upon their workload, the internship could either participate at the state level work-based learning program, or we could schedule them for a study skills or independent study class. And what that would look like, a long-term internship would be under the umbrella of the state level work-based learning program, in which they could leave school for a period of time during the day. It could be at the end of the day or it could be at the beginning, and they would report to work in that employer, or they would just have a specified place where they could work on that. However, a short-term project that didn't meet some of those state requirements, those students would then be scheduled for that study skills or the independent study course, and then in their off time they would then be able to participate in activities like peer tutoring, community service, or some of their mentoring assignments that they have. And furthermore, the student's perception about monetary compensation is much different if they work predominantly from the school. They see it as built into part of their school day, moreover than them reporting to work and not getting compensated for it. And so it eased their it slightly eased their concerns about not being compensated for their time and for their work. So a couple of examples that I have, and this is obviously going to be tailored more to how it works for our program, but how we've worked and implemented this in our school this year, and again, we're probably going to ramp this up going forward, but we've had graphic design students work with, the graphic design students actually worked with designing a logo for our local rec department, and so several of them worked, designed, got feedback from the employer, and then eventually the final logo was revealed. We also have some students working on web presence management for local businesses, and this is actually through our Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce has many employers that come in and they need help with getting their Yelp or TripAdvisor accounts set up and managing those. And then we also have some small welding fabrication jobs that students actually can complete inside of our welding lab under the supervision of our instructor, but also get feedback and production supervision from the employer. So that's just a little bit in a nutshell of what we're doing in Putnam County.
Thank you so much, Catherine. That was wonderful. Again, I'm going to ask those who are online, if you have any questions for Catherine, just type them into the chat feature. If not, we're going to have our last presenter. We have William Bass with us, who is from LA. Hi, William, can you get on and speak? William, you there? Just hit *6, William.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Hey, how are you?
Hi.
Hey, we're all learning together. I'm gonna give you permission also. Hopefully this works for you to present your slides. Just give it a second. Can you advance? Great. So I'm gonna let you speak on again. So now William's gonna give us more of an urban, larger school district perspective. We had the rural perspective. We have the urban perspective. So William, I'm gonna let you present. I'm gonna step aside, and I look forward to learning more from you as well.
Okay, thank you. My name is William Bass, and I am at Los Angeles Unified. We're a particularly large urban school district, a little over 600,000 K through 12 students. About 80% of our students qualify for free and reduced lunch. There's about 135,000 students in 9th through 12th grade, and about 18,000 of those students are in linked learning pathways, and so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're talking, and I talked to you about linked learning because that's the frame through which we implement the elements of the YCC grant. We talk about linked learning because it has research behind it demonstrating that students that go through a linked learning pathway have greater success both immediately after high school and have a higher likelihood of going on to college. And so what we see in our data is that 9% more students who go through a linked learning program are going to go through a 4-year post-secondary education compared to their peers. We see that 72% of students who go through a linked learning program know a lot about college and career planning. We know that students that complete a linked learning program earn $10,000 more in the next 4 years after high school than their peers do. And our graduation rate is about 10% higher than students that do not go through a linked learning or a California Partnership Academy-like model. So there is actually a relatively robust set of work that needs to happen at different levels supporting the implementation of linked learning and work-based learning. And so at a regional level, what we're working on actually right now is the development of a regional hub of excellence, which would work on the coordination of many of the tasks that you see in this slide, the recruiting and hiring of support staff for the functions lower on this list, the engagement with major regional employers so that we don't have schools or multiple partners approaching the same employer for the same kinds of things. We also are looking at establishing regional advisory councils aligned around industry sectors. We also are having conversations in that regional arena around technology infrastructure that supports our schools, that supports the reporting and collection of data, and the identification of tools that support our school districts, our schools, the pathways, our employer partners, our post-secondary partners, the sort of universe of partners at the regional level. Then at the district and community level, what we're focusing on is supporting effectiveness of our pathway advisory board. So we actually organize an advisory board for each industry sector pathway at each high school. And so those are very critical and key components because it's the sort of entree for industry onto the campus and to begin engaging with our instructional staff and classrooms around current trends, skills and abilities that folks need to know if they're going to work in a particular industry. It gets our teachers in touch with our employers, and we begin relationship building, which is really, really critical and helps us establish some relationship management practices both at the district level and then, again, more immediately at the school level. We work on aligning after-school resources to support work-based learning and making sure that we are doing assessments, accountability, that we are coordinating the liability and insurance questions. At the school level, we make sure that we're matching students based on their work readiness to appropriate work-based learning experiences, which could be an internship at its sort of pinnacle, but goes through the work-based learning continuum of experiences building to that. We link the experiences that the students are engaged in to the pathway so that the internship actually aligns with what students are learning in their core subjects around that industry sector. And we make sure that we obviously are engaging in some supervision and oversight around the student experiences. And we make sure that students are making forward progress in the delivery on those learning outcomes. So there's a lot of coordination required, especially in any program, but especially in a program sort of the scope and scale that we're talking about trying to implement district-wide in LA. And in order to deliver on that promise, what we've done is sort of bucket the work into these four large general areas, which are support for pathway quality, work-based learning infrastructure, awareness and advocacy, and partnership engagement. And right in the middle of this work is a backbone organization. In Los Angeles, we're actually contracted with United Way of Greater LA to be this backbone organization and take on some of the coordinating activities in all four of these buckets. We also, around the work-based learning infrastructure and employer engagement, have actually contracted with a number of what we call intermediary partners. And those are organizations that work in the particular industry sectors that we're implementing pathways at our high schools through, and using their connections and their expertise in the industry sector to sort of fast-track this work and to bring it up to speed far more quickly. We've been very lucky to engage partners like the Chamber of Commerce here in Los Angeles, Ultimed, International Trade Education Programs, which is located out near our harbor, and Communities in Schools, and I'm missing one and I apologize, but those partner organizations actually bring on a work-based learning coordinator or multiple work-based learning coordinators on their side. And then as we grow this model to scale, they actually have committed via the contracts that we sign to increase the support for those positions on their side. So at the point where grant funding terminates, those positions are fully funded and fully supported by the intermediaries that have chosen to partner with us. So what does a quality work-based learning experience look like for our students? And so we really have focused on making sure that we're linking the core academic program to the career and technical education program. And what that means is that we are building rigorous interdisciplinary real-world and, of course, Common Core aligned projects into the core subjects. So English, math, science, history, for example, at a business and finance pathway, across those core subject areas, we work on implementing project-based learning, instructional units, and tasks that would incorporate the industry pathway. So in an English class, you may be reading an article about contract law or a Supreme Court case impacting public finance or something like that. And the projects that they do in that class would not necessarily be Shakespeare-oriented. They would be oriented around the industry sector. Students learn the real-world application of what they're learning in these core subjects and why what they're learning in those core subjects is really important and how it will be applied. We team with industry professionals around curriculum development and the development of those projects so that when students are engaged in a project, there is real-world application of what they're doing, and they understand what that application is. We also work, of course, on providing a spectrum of work-based learning opportunities for our students. They range from professional guest speakers and workplace tours to job shadowing and mentorships. Obviously, we work on aligning those opportunities to where the student is in terms of work readiness certification, which is my last bullet here. We are providing a work readiness and certification program through a platform called Connected Studios, and there is a curriculum and rubric that the students would progress through. It includes financial literacy, interviewing, resume writing, all of those elements of most of the work readiness certification programs that are available there. So this is a platform that we use, and we ensure that our students have met that certification requirement before we put them into a paid internship. That's the work-based learning continuum. I'm sure most of you have probably seen it, live it, and breathe it, so I don't think we need to talk too much about it. If you have questions about it, we can talk about that later. For our faculty, we make sure that our teaching staff in our core subjects and in our CTE courses, but specifically in our core subjects, have exposure to opportunities in the industry sector that the pathway at the high school is focused on. So if it's a business and finance pathway, we work on arranging an externship for our students that are for our teachers that is specifically focused in that industry sector so that they can build those real-world practices into their classroom instruction and the development of the tasks they have their students engage in. We also, and I want to talk about at the district level, we have a vendor resolution, which I think is really critical and something that you may want to think about, whether you do your business purchasing or your district purchasing at the district level, or maybe through a joint powers authority for some of the smaller districts. What the district has succeeded in doing is putting in place a vendor resolution that allows vendors who come forward and bid on procurement projects with the district. If they identify work-based learning experiences and opportunities for our students as part of their proposal, they actually receive a scoring preference from the district, and they may actually win a bid on a procurement based on what they identified that they would do in terms of helping our students with work-based learning opportunities. So that is really, I think, innovative and exciting. And at LAUSD, that's $800 million of annual spend that we can be building work-based learning opportunities into with vendors located across the country. We also have, I mentioned our intermediaries, work-based learning coordinators that are working with us in supported by United Way, but also at the LA Chamber of Commerce and the other intermediary partners that I previously mentioned. So the CTE experience, we also focus on making sure that the course sequence in our pathways actually aligns with the industry sector that the pathway is focused on. So the CTE coursework at a business and finance pathway needs to be business and finance focused, which seems pretty logical, but we have a lot of history about how courses ended up at high schools and changes that need to be made. We also make sure that the CTE offering builds upon, is a sequenced offering where courses build on each other. And we are also offering dual credit through the CTE course offering. So we actually have a roster of courses that are recognized by an organization called UCCI here in California that identifies coursework at the high school level that's eligible for college credit and eligible for A to G credit, or completion of the UC, University of California college entry requirements. So we're sort of hitting multiple birds with a single stone through our CTE offering. We do the A to G credit, which is where the UCCI comes in. We also, the dual credit comes from our community colleges and agreements that we're making with our community colleges for transfer credit of those courses. We also make sure that the offerings that we provide to our students in these pathways lead to some kind of an industry-recognized professional certification, either at the completion of high school or relatively soon thereafter, that will allow the student to earn some kind of a living wage job out of high school or progress towards a higher wage, higher skilled job with the coursework that they've taken. Support services should not be underestimated here. It is really critical that students feel that they have the support and attention of a focused, caring adult. So some of the investments that we make around linked learning include additional counseling services, tutoring, summer bridge, and information technology. And so we really, speaking to the individualized attention, our counselor caseloads are relatively high for budgetary reasons of the district. The grant funding allows us to lower those caseloads to a manageable workload for our counselors and allows them to focus on the grade cohort that's funded by the YCC grant. We also provide additional training or tutoring services through the grant to our students. I also want to talk about the summer bridge, which I think is really critical. We fund an 8th grade to 9th grade summer bridge program for the YCC sites. And really what that does is ease the transition between 8th grade and 9th grade. We know that that is a critical time for our students, and we see a spike in dropouts between those two grades. So we implement the summer bridge in the summer preceding 9th grade. We bring in our incoming 9th graders, and we bring in a cohort of emerging, there would be 11th graders going to 12th grade who are our summer bridge leaders. And that allows those 9th graders to build meaningful relationships with students that are in upper grades at the same school so that they know that they have friends, leaders, and supporters on the campus. It allows them to build peer support networks amongst their fellow 9th graders, and it immerses the students in the pathway industry sector and the work that they will be doing, specifically project-based learning and the immersion in the CTE sort of coursework. And of course, additional computing equipment on these campuses funded by the grant allows us to provide a higher ratio of information technology equipment to students and allows access to opportunities that keeps the students on track to graduate, like credit recovery and tutoring software. So these are some of the comments that some of our interns and some of their sponsors have made. Mayor of Los Angeles and Robert Rodriguez there, who sponsored or worked with some of our interns. And then just some considerations for employers and program staff. Out-of-school youth are hard to reach, and so it's really important that we sort of try and reach those students where they're at, which may be through organizations like workforce investment boards, which work with youth or sponsor or run youth source centers, WorkSource and OneSource centers, your community and faith-based organizations, and your educational options programs. And we run a number of those programs here at LA. I do want to point out that we actually have just entered into a contract with the City of Los Angeles Workforce Investment Board here in LA, and they will be assisting us with a full-time position focusing on this work, and we're really excited about that. We also have a restorative justice program in LA that has focused on keeping students in school and on campus rather than mandatory suspensions and expulsions. So we're going to see a change in program attendance and retention tied to that as well. So that's an exciting change. And then a slide here on some resources if you're interested in learning more about linked learning generally or linked learning at LAUSD. And then I've included a link there on the vendor resolution program at our procurement division.
Thank you so much, William. I appreciate your presentation. And we're going to now take questions. I have a couple of questions in the chat feature at this time. And again, if you have any questions, for William, for Catherine, for Evan, for Charles, please type them into the chat feature. I'm going to go up to Marina Wilcox, who has a question for Catherine, and she asks, how many students are in the Putnam County program currently?
Maisha, we have in the internship program or in the program period?
Just give us both numbers just in case. Give us both numbers just in case.
We have 146 total in the program, and then participating in internships, it's about 25 or so at this point.
Okay. Okay. Evan, we have a question from Jack from our FPO, and he asked the question, can an internship with a private employer be paid through the YCC funds?
Yes. The answer is, I mentioned that in a previous slide, that you can use Youth Career Connect funds to pay for internships, and that can be with a public sector employer, private sector employer, nonprofit employer.
Okay. And can it be structured as an on-the-job training position?
No, in our model, we're talking about internships today, which is a little bit different than an on-the-job training position. On-the-job training isn't typically for in-school, high school youth.
Okay, thank you. Any additional questions, grantees? We do have time on the clock, and if you want to type them into the chat feature, we can take them. Anyone? Well, I'm going to proceed and let you all know that you can contact us anytime at YCC at bol.gov. We will be following up this webinar with a slide to you all that will be coming shortly. We will have a transcript prepared in the upcoming days, as well as trying to use this technology to get this recorded webinar posted on our community of practice on Workforce 3.1. We will also be producing some type of frequently asked questions tip sheet, as we've done before. I will be getting you all that IDP tip sheet shortly. I'm working on it now with the last minute changes, so hopefully you'll get a PDF from me shortly on IDPs from our last training. And our next training, actually it's not a training, it's going to be our National Grantee Conference in July. You'll be hearing, getting some information from us. If you have not registered, we would really encourage you all to register. You only get to have 3 participants. I know that's kind of stinky, but we've only been approved to have 3 participants per grantee. So at this point, we have 61 registrants. That's not everybody. I'm not calling anybody's name out, but if you have not registered, we're going to ask you all to take time to register, and if you've over-registered, we have a list of those grantees as well. We're going to just reach out to your FPO to ask you kindly to only select 3 persons to participate in this year's conference. I do have a question that just came over from Julie. How long are the panelist internships? So William and Catherine, how long are your internships?
This is William. Most of our internships are about 3 weeks long. Some of the programs that we have available, though, for example, funded through CalWorks, can be longer than that. And we have a couple sort of special arrangements with some of our industry partners where some of our students actually intern for most of the year.
Okay, thank you. Catherine?
And for us at Putnam County, it just really depends on the project itself and what the employer needs. Those when I talked about students managing a web presence, that could be ongoing for an entire semester, whereas some of our healthcare internships took place over just a couple of weeks. So it just really depends on the student, the employer, and the type of work that is to be done.
Okay, thank you. I have another question from Jennifer Hughes. Where can I find more information about summer bridge programs? I don't know if you were speaking about WIA. Is that WIA, Evan? Or was that somebody else?
I had mentioned summer bridge
okay, thank you, William.
in
okay.
the LA presentation. So I'm happy to talk to anybody sort of offline if you want to, but what we implemented was based on some research that we had or data points that we see in our own data about the spike in student dropouts between 8th and 9th. And we know that there's another spike in another set of grade bands, but the summer bridge that we implemented was specifically to focus on that spike that we see and making sure that the transition between middle school and high school can be really rough, especially when the format at the middle school is a little bit more student-centric or a little bit more hand-holding than a comprehensive high school where there might be 3,000 or 4,000 students, and everybody's got their place to be and schedules to follow, and there isn't as much individualized support. So that was sort of the reasoning behind that. If somebody has some more sort of specific implementation questions, I'm happy to talk about that on email or offline.
Okay. Thank you, William. Any other questions? Okay, I have a question from Amy. Nobody hang up yet. Catherine, how do you do a flipped internship in healthcare?
We have actually been talking to our athletic trainers that come from a third-party company in to monitor and supervise our events, anything from football to cheerleading competitions to track meets and the like. We've been in contact with them to see if they would be willing to supervise or have our students aid them in their duties during that time. And so the students would actually be participating at our school property, but under a different third-party employer. So that's one way. We haven't had too much trouble in that specific area, especially because of our partner with our technical college, who has some of those partnerships that have allowed our students to go off property. But that was one specific example of how we're working with our healthcare students in the flipped model.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, with that, I want to say thank you all for joining us. If you have any additional questions, of course, you know where to send those to. Send those to the YCC at dol.gov. And we look forward to seeing you all in July and talking to you and having communication with you over the next couple of weeks to prepare for the conference. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.